It is your buddy Adam, and you're checking out Podcasting Business School. This is the show where I teach podcasters how to love their podcast like a hobby, but build it like a business. If you're looking for some podcasting tips on audience growth, audience engagement, and monetization, you're in the right place. I got my friend, my pod pal, Avina from the MeMyddleton show in the house. Avina, how's it going?
Everything is super fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Well, we met on Clubhouse, and I'm like, you got to come on and do a podcast audit. We got to create some content together. I love your personality. You got the energy. So I'm very excited to dig in. Now, we specialize with this episode in talking about audience engagement, audience growth, and monetization. What would be the most helpful place to start the conversation for you today?
Audience growth.
All right. I ask this question of everybody that comes on, and that's almost always where people want to start. Audience growth. So let's define the exact right person that should be listening to your show. That's going to be helpful for me, but also for our audience listening in. So like, who is the ideal person that needs to be listening to MeMyddleton every single week, every single episode?
Every single episode, if you're interested in all things spiritual, natural, magical, or the occultic worlds, or if you're trying to even find your path, find your spiritual gifts, what are you made for? What gifts have you been given? That's my show. That's that you need to hit me up. You need to hit me up, listen to every single episode, and be eager on edge, listening, waiting for the next one.
Yes. Okay. So now I knew this because we've interacted on Clubhouse quite a bit, and I've looked, obviously you filled out a lot of information for me, and I've got a good background on you. Now, the first thing we talk about audience growth, we want to look at the low-hanging fruit, and that is search engine optimization. All right. So the three key zones for SEO and podcasting is our show title, our description of our show, and then each individual episode. All right. So with the MeMyddleton show, like, that's something where we could have maybe a subtitle, like all the words that you use to just describe the ideal listener. I want to get some of that going in the description of the show, in the episode titles, like spiritually curious. Are you wondering about the occult? Are you everything you used to use to describe your ideal listener? We want to start packing that in to the description of the podcast and the episode titles. Is that making sense so far?
Yeah, that makes sense. But I do have questions about it. But I'll wait on your cue.
No, go for it. Go for it.
So in the description of the MeMyddleton show, I illustrate all of that. In fact, if I could say it verbatimly, a place for neo-spiritualists, you see I'm in my head, a place for neo-spiritualists to laugh, love, and learn about all things spiritual, natural, magical, and the occult. So that's in the description. So
Perfect.
Are you saying that I need to have like a colon, then
No,
like
I think that's great. I think that's great for the description. And then I would add, if you have room, depending on where you're loading it up, like it may give you a character limit, but if you have room, another thing that's really great for SEO is I would go, okay, what are the top 10 questions that somebody would put into Google that your show would solve? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you can rephrase, like keep what you just described. That's perfect. And then at the end, something like, if you find yourself having questions like, and then you list question, all the Google questions, we put those in there. And then those Google questions are your episode titles. Oh, you know what I'm saying? And that way we get double, and we're showing up for both of those, because Google's really starting to pick up on podcast episodes also, where people type that question in a search engine and you've got a lot of action on that episode, or any action really, you're going to start pulling up. And that's what we want. Like, that's brand new listeners that are handpicked, that are perfect for you. So I think that's kind of the low hanging fruit when it comes to the just the simple SEO stuff. So we feel okay about that so far.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Then we want to look at marketing. Like, what are we doing on social media? As far as like an episode goes live, what happens on social media, over the next 24, 48, 72 hours. Are we eating crickets? Okay. So what would you say social media wise? Obviously we met on Clubhouse, like you've got a presence there. What would be like when you look at like LinkedIn, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram, any of those ring a bell as far as like, that's like, you feel like your audience is hanging out more often than others?
So I noticed that, okay, each of those social media platforms, they got like their own kind of genre type of thing. You know what I mean? Like LinkedIn is more like corporate
Yeah.
professional types. Ain't really no room for like the spiritual folks on
Right.
that one.
Right.
But it's more appropriate for like Facebook and LinkedIn. And that's where I kind of hang out at. And honestly, I'm just now starting to hang out in Instagram. I am technologically inert when it comes to Instagram,
Yeah.
but I'm getting to know it. And I try my best for each week, post something up dealing with the next episode that's coming up. And, to let everybody know this is what's coming up and this is what it's about, that type of thing. And then I post my actual episodes up on my Instagram and my my Facebook page, the MeMyddleton Show page.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's not bad. That's what a lot of podcasters are doing. So let's look at some areas where it won't take you a lot of extra time, but we can pull some extra content out and promote these episodes. So like one thing that you said that you are going on there and letting them know what's about to come out. Are you giving them like a preview of the episode that it hasn't been released yet? Or is it?
No audio
Okay.
preview or anything like that.
Okay.
I'm just typing up something or put a pretty picture.
Okay, cool. Got it. So like if you were like, Adam, what's your social media wish list? One thing I'm always looking for, how do I have a reason to bring up my episode that I just released? All right. So obviously an episode gets released. What I like to do, I like to put up a carousel post. So that's more than one image. And this works really well on Instagram. So if you decide to make a little bit more of a push on Instagram, it's like fishing. Instead of one line in the water, it's like 5 or 6 lines in the water. So we know the more lines in the water, the better chance of catching a fish. So, but that could be just one static image announcing the episode like you've been doing. And that's totally cool. But then I think in Clubhouse, you can say, all right, now, are you hosting your own rooms at all yet? Or are you mainly participating?
I just started. I just
good,
like released the nerves to start. And
perfect.
I've hosted it twice so far.
Okay. Love it. Once a week, I would love to see you host your own room. And the topic is in relation to the topic of your episode. So I want the room to happen after that new episode has just gone live or within a couple of days of that. So
Okay.
that's the topic that you can go, hey, and if you love this, make sure you check out episode blah, blah, blah. And now we can put the links at the top of the rooms now. So that's your episode link right there. And it's going to drive people to that content because if, again, use the same name for the Clubhouse discussion name, the description, all that's there. And if people are into that, they're going to come show up for the conversation. Now, are these all solo episodes or are you having guests on your show?
It's a bit of both.
Okay, perfect. So what I would do also with your room is start having guests from previous episodes on there. All right. Because again, that's a reason to talk about their episode and put that link right at the top of the page.
And I've done that on my very first room with one of my guests. She ended up co-moderating with me.
Yes. Okay. And these are your co-mods. Like you're nailing it. So maybe you get 3 or 4 people that have been on your show in the past, and they're always there with you. They're your mod squad. And I like to set a goal of like, if we can, our forces combined with myself and all the moderators, if we can have like 5,000 plus followers, that's usually can produce a room of 20, 30, 40 people in there. And then if you get somebody that's got a bunch of followers, then of course it's going to be more. So that's when I'm looking at forming my moderation squad. I'm like, all right, I've got about 1,000. She's got 500. They've got 1,000. And I try to piece together about 5,000 worth of followers for my moderators. That's just a personal goal for what I'm trying to shoot for on Clubhouse. So kind of keep that in mind, experiment with that a little bit. And maybe you got one open spot for your latest guest and they come on and maybe they crush it. And you're like, hey, you should join us every week. And you build out your mod squad right there. And you've got this regular discussion going and people know the personalities that are always showing up. I think it could be a pretty cool environment on Clubhouse. So I love that a lot. All right. So your episode's live. You've got a post on social. You kind of sprinkle that out there. You've got a Clubhouse discussion on the topic that you can always refer back to. I think are you doing video content at all? Like, do you, when you record your episodes, are you recording any video like we are here today?
No, it's all audio.
That's something to consider. That may be like, and even if you don't go there, doing an audio clip, like having an audiogram that's a 15-second quote or a 30-second quote of like the main, just that teaser line that's going to make everybody want to listen in. That's something that I would consider looking at as well. Next thing on my checklist, email list. What are we building an email list? No. Okay. For those of you listening in, I got the eyeballs there.
Yeah, the nonverbal cues. So I'm working on it. I have a spiritual marketing coach. The great thing about that is because I see the significant difference of having a spiritual marketing coach versus a regular marketing coach, although I utilize both. But it really gives an insight on how to pitch this, because it's really hard to sell when it comes to spirituality. Yep. A lot of spiritualists are like, we're really not salesy, compared to someone who is in IT or people in your field. Yep. So she really gives a different perspective. So when it comes to email marketing, like I said, I'm totally technologically inert. So doing the funnels and getting the what's it called? CRM, yeah, and doing that, I freak out. So she's trying to walk me through it. She's holding my hand, and I'm getting it together, Adam.
Yeah, well,
I'm getting it together.
I mean, let's keep it simple. You don't have to have some big web funnel thing if that's not your jam. That's not my jam. I'm not great at that. I'm not a great email marketer. I'm a good email writer. Like I have a newsletter every week that I send out, but that's just me talking to all my friends out there that are my subscribers, that are people that listen to my show. So maybe we just flip that mental switch a little bit and go, all right, instead of lead magnet and all this marketing funnel stuff, let's talk about building relationships and making friends out there in the space. You're entertaining. All right. You've got a great personality. You got a big personality. I would love to see you do something in your space, like what I do with my PodPal Zoom party, where it's like a group chat situation. It could be on Clubhouse. Now you can record stuff on Clubhouse easy. Like maybe it's a separate Clubhouse room or a once per month Clubhouse room where it's like a spirituality jam session, and you guys got, it's like everybody bring their flavor to the pot and we create content together. And you've got other content creators, you got people that are just spiritually curious that are listening to your show, and you can all get in there and create together. Now, if you don't do it on Clubhouse and it's on Zoom, like the way that I do it, then the price of admission is the email opt-in, because they got to get that Zoom link, and that builds your email list. You know what I'm saying? And that's way easier than let's do this and have this download, and then the email funnel goes deep. That takes, you got to learn that. But with the way that I teach it, it's just making friends. We get the email, and now we can communicate with them. And that's the next thing. I would love to see you put out at least a monthly newsletter. That's just you talking. You're just jamming with your friends. Like when I do mine every week, and here's the format. The first part, I let people know I write it in real time. Like I'm like, hey, it's 5:31 a.m. I just did my cold brew coffee. Here's what I'm thinking about right now. Like I write it in real time. It's not automated and like, canned anything. I just a little bit of window into my life. Then I lead into the topic of the week, which is the episode that I'm promoting this week. Why the heck they should listen to it. I give them a little something extra that I don't even talk about on the show. Then there's a section called what I'm nerding out on right now. And it's just whatever I'm excited about. in marketing and social media and podcasting. And it just whatever. I'm always nerding out on something. I'm always experimenting on something. And then I close it out. Done. And people freaking love it because it's written in real time. It's written to them. I get amazing feedback on it. And it's not spammy, markety, anything. And I love writing it. If you love writing it, it's good. You know what I'm saying?
You got me thinking. I just posted something on Facebook. Like I was like nerding out on something. It's something I just went through. And it was pretty long, but it had everything to do with my niche. It had everything to do with, what I was just totally nerding out on. And it also had like something to learn, something to grow on within that. So you got me really thinking like that could have been an email thingy, huh?
Yeah. Yep. Now, let's start to put all the pieces together because we got to think like, all right, we got to pull people into our world. Maybe they start listening to your show. Maybe they find you through Clubhouse. Maybe they find you through a referral or anything, and they want to come to your monthly jam session or whatever it is that we create. Or maybe they prefer to interact like you and I are right now. So you and I, how we met, great example. Let's just duplicate that for you. You're on Clubhouse jamming out. Somebody thinks you're interesting. You start to chat back and forth and you go, hey, I got a podcast. Check it out. And if you want, you can come on my show. I do these blah, blah, blah sessions, a spirituality audit session, a spiritually curious on-ramp session or whatever. And you do what we're doing right now for your ideal listeners. Again, price of admission, email. And then
the link.
And then you've got your weekly or bi-weekly or once per month awesome email newsletter that you send out. And that just keeps people in the loop. So this is like the ecosystem that we're building here. And it's not about funnels. It's not about email marketing. It's about relationships and doing what you do best, which is add value in your unique space and making friends. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I love it.
Well, I can tell you're like me. And it's like, I'm the same way. Like I've had to learn a lot of tech myself and I'm proud of all the reps I've put in to do that. But I mean, if you go, Adam, I need you to design an email marketing funnel for me with 17 emails, I'm going to be straight up guessing. I have no idea what I'm doing. Like it's just going to be guess work. Let's see what happens. But if you're like, here's what I do. I have a podcast. I need to get people from the podcast into paying me what I deserve to earn. I'm like, yeah, all day, every day. Let's go. I can do that through relationship building, So that is the angle that we want to take on this. Relationships, not marketing. We're not selling. We're adding value. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's what I'm about. I'm not into really marketing. That scares the crap out of me. Relationship building. I love it. Thank you.
Okay. Now let's talk about the monies before we're running short on time. We got to talk about the money. You do one-on-one consultations and coaching. I love that. So I think like monetization strategies that'll work for you, your brand, like I call them VIP days like that. I know people in the spirituality space that crush it with VIP days. So that's anything that's 3 hours or more in a row. So all at once. So a Friday afternoon, imagine just every Friday you had a 3-hour block that you had people signing up. They listen to your show. They come and do a session, a spirituality audit. And you're like, hey, you should do a VIP day. And they're like, yeah, I'm in, let's go. And this is a $2,000 offer, and every Friday it's 2K Friday. And you maybe do a couple of them, you make 4K that Friday or whatever, or maybe you charge more. And like people are paying 5, 10K in the spirituality space for these types of sessions where you take them on a journey. And you're doing what you do because as well as I do, there's immediate impact with these. And people are like aha moments galore. And then they're like, what's the next step? And you go, oh, well, I've got a small group accountability coaching program. Or I've got a workshop coming up, or I've got one-on-one continued coaching for accountability and implementation. Like this is how the ecosystem starts to fit together. Can you start to picture it?
Yeah, definitely.
So I think focus points for you, Avina, is like look at stay consistent with your show. I love what you're doing with Clubhouse. Let's figure out one social media platform that you really want to go deep with outside of Clubhouse. Like, is it Facebook? Is it Instagram? Whatever, and you just go deep there. But let's start to connect that community to client bridge. So we get listeners. They go, I want to interact with this woman in a group format. Oh, you can come to my once per month spirituality jam session. Price of admission, email list. Or they're like, I want to go one-on-one. I've been listening to these episodes that she's doing one-on-one, these spirituality audits, and I want to do one of those. So they sign up for that. They get your monthly email. All of a sudden, you're so top of mind as a consultant, as a guide, as a coach. When they're ready, there's no selling involved.
Right.
It's like, this makes sense. This is my person. I found my person that's going to guide me to the next level, and it's Ivina, and let's go. So, making sense? Fired up? You got some ideas cooking now?
Oh my gosh, all turned up. Thank you.
All right, now I want to make sure people know how to get into your world, how they can check out your show, check out your website, anything you got cooking. So go ahead and take that mic and promote away.
So you can always reach me at the MeMyddleton Show on all podcasting platforms, including YouTube. Make sure you click on the like. Make sure you click on the notification bell, so every time an episode comes up, you're the first to get notified. You can also get your consultation on, get some merchandise, and get your intuitive consultation at Help by Ivina, EVENAH, helpbyivina.com. You can also check me out on Instagram, just regular old MeMyddleton, and which is MeMyddleton. And you can look me up on Facebook, The MeMyddleton Show. I have a page and a group. Please join in the group, join in the fun, get all of the mystical, magical, spiritual, and occultic information from your girl, Ivina. Thank you so much.
All right. And if you can't tell, Ivina is really cool. She's a lot of fun, and she's just somebody that's you can borrow some of that positive mojo, and she's going to give that to you. So check out her show, support her online. If you all want to do a podcast audit, just like our friend Ivina has done today, then go on over to the website, podcastingbusiness.school, get signed up. I am stacking these for 2022. Now this is actually my last day of podcast audits for 2021. You snuck in at the wire there, Ivina. I'm recording this on Tuesday, November 30th. So we are sneaking in under the wire last day. And so if you guys want to do one, get on the 22 schedule right now, and we will hook you up. Ivina, I appreciate you. I like the way you show up, and I can't wait to see what you do next. All right.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
All right, everybody. I'm going to send you out into the world, wishing you health, happiness, and many downloads. We will see you on the next episode.